Hi, good day for everybody. Do you hear me? Do you see the presentation? I hope, suppose. Yes. So, dear colleagues, I want to present our study, the purpose of which was to investigate how crisis situations of different nature affect the mental health and emotional well-being of people. So the background, the background of presentation, the background of our work, yes.
Maybe you can put the full screen if you can put the full screen, but we can see it like this too.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes. Our study began the year before this pandemic, COVID pandemic, and at that time there were two principal challenges. It's just previously it was this uncertainty and multiplicity of these mental health and emotional well-being of people. And it was called by our group the transitivity, social and mental. And in the process of theoretical and empirical research, two types of transitivity were identified and described: crisis and fluid. In crisis transitivity, sharp changes occur both in socio-cultural situation and in the emotional state of people. These emotional states were depend on the attitude and coping to the ongoing cardinal changes. With fluid transitivity, changes occur gradually, but the uncertainty of the situation was constantly increases. The assessment of the situation and attitudes towards the changes go slowly, but inevitability. Among the different types of sensitivity, we may talk about different forms of internet. It's online and offline, and it's all some transitivity state because there is it was there's association between crisis. In both cases, it is difficult to change something. From this point of view, there's certainly a similarity between fluid transitivity and offline situation in internet. There, you can slightly change the reactions, assessments, standards. Therefore, these situations are reversible to some extent. Although you must see that it is necessary to remember that the whole situation is changing. That is, we can say these situations are sort of feeding to what will happen with a sharp change. Therefore, it is possible to connect two spaces according to the principle of substitution to overcoming frustration. The criteria by which people evaluate themselves and present themselves to others are constantly changing. As a feedback, some type of feedback to self-presentations, there are likes and reposts in a network, and social status or a number of or age index so-called, and it's in real. And the number of socialization groups are important indicator both in real society and a network. Depending on the personal characteristics, transitivity psychologically manifests itself in either getting used to a situation with the ability to continue active life in new conditions, or in increase of depression. There were used such tests as the tolerance to uncertainty and tests for personal characteristics. It's hexaxa primary. Obtained data showed what personal characteristics positively correlate with coping with fluid transitivity. There are tolerance to uncertainty, of course, openness, and less pronounced is consciousness. Negative correlations as were somehow predict with such traits as extroversion and emotionality, especially emotionality, and this trait was mainly predicted. So the situation was intensified with the emerge of a pandemic and the quarantines connected with this pandemic. And it was, we monitored only the first and second waves of quarantine. Now, I suppose we're hardly to calculate the third or fourth, something like this, waves. But I will speak only about, I said, the first and the second. To study the psychological state of people in a situation of frustration of space, was developed a questionnaire that included various aspects of, you can see these pyramids of this questionnaire. It's frustration of space, a degree of danger, methods of protection, information, the future and the internet, emotional state, frustration of time, and future and reality. Further, you can see the examples, some for these parameters. For example, degree of danger. It's, do you think that coronavirus is a deadly threat for the population of the country, or it's a deadly threat for all humanity? Methods of protection. Do you consider wearing a medical mask, washing and disinfection your hands, mandatory protective measures? The future, it was very interesting answers. Do you think that our future will change towards the development of new technologies in all areas? And do you think that in the future, new online entertainment and communications will rapidly develop our different internet services? So we assumed that the psychological phenomenology of the first and the second waves of quarantine are similar to the phenomenology of crisis first wave and fluid second wave transitivity. In both cases, there's either sharp and radical changes of the whole situation and the restructuring of the living space, or a replication of an already familiar scenario, which can continue with some variance for indefinitely long time. And we see this now and now. Based on this, in the situation of the first and second quarantine, we repeated the same diagnostic plan as in transitivity and as the attitude to work, study, and leisure time and communication and attitude to these parameters in a distant format, mainly Zoom and Skype. There were two people respondents of two age groups, 17-25 and 40-55. The results you can see here. So we can see that online form of work was noted by nearly all respondents besides of age. But we see that it's connected with the situation, not with personal willing. It's the situation that only online and just a few persons can go to the work in reality. But communications and forms of leather and are within, were within in this situation, personal motivation. So we can see that younger people prefer communicate by networks and internet platforms, mainly. And elder people in the situation of quarantine dream about the possibility to go in reality to theaters, to acquaintances, to relatives. But younger people created new hobbies and new ways of spending leisure time. And they created very rapidly, just in some first 2 months of quarantine. They can play together, sing together, eat together, and even dance together. There were Zoom parties discussing of streaming videos and so on. The results of questionnaire also showed a nearly complete coincidence of the data obtained in a situation of sociocultural crisis and the first wave of quarantine. The same parameters, same personal features positively correlate with coping with the first wave of quarantine. It's again tolerance to uncertainty, openness, and negative correlations with extroversion and emotionally especially. So the second wave during the beginning just of the second wave, as our monitoring showed, it was a slight increase of positive well-being, primarily in an increase in the positive assessment of online work and learning. And you can see it on the picture. At the first, many people identified, noted that they were very difficult for them to work and study online. But after a while, nearly all respondents began to note the advantages of the remote way of working and studying. The data obtained during the second wave the data with our questionnaires obtained during the second wave differed significantly. All the results showed that the inclusion of virtual space blurred all the picture. The more people get used to the distribution of the time in both